Welcome, welcome. Come in and have a seat. Welcome to the second annual Harvard-Yenching Roundtable. I'm Liz Perry, the director of the Harvard-Yenching Institute, and I think many of you know, since many of you here are Harvard-Yenching affiliates, the Harvard-Yenching Institute is an independent foundation whose mission primarily is to support higher education in the humanities and social sciences in Asia. Last year, we had a very stimulating roundtable on the subject of explaining the rise of China, a challenge to Western social science theories, question mark, with participants from China, Japan, Europe, and the United States. And today, I'm confident that we'll have an equally stimulating and lively session on Asian varieties of socialism, China, India, and Vietnam. Before I turn to the topic at hand and to introducing our panelists, I'd like to make just a couple of acknowledgments. The first, and he's conveniently seated right there in the middle, is to Arthur Kleinman, the director of the Asia Center, since this year the Asia Center very kindly is co-sponsoring the roundtable with us. And second, hiding behind the camera over there, I'd like to thank Lindsay Strogatz, who has done all of the hard work for bringing together this event today. And also like to announce to you that right after the roundtable, we will have a reception upstairs in the lobby, right, immediately following the roundtable. So all of you are cordially invited to join us right upstairs once these proceedings come to a conclusion. Now, on the topic of Asian varieties of socialism, these days, the rapidly rising nations of China and India often are contrasted, at least by political scientists, as parallel examples of authoritarian and democratic states coping with the challenges of market capitalist development. But 60 years ago, when their current political systems were founded, political leaders and intellectuals alike in these countries were strongly attracted to the promises of socialism. The same was true of the reunified Vietnam, which, like China and India, later embarked on an impressive reform effort. So the questions we want to consider today are what did political leaders, intellectuals, and ordinary people in these various countries once find so appealing about socialism? To what extent did their interpretations of socialism reflect Asian as opposed to European experiences and understandings? And what influence, if any, do these socialist legacies have today on contemporary policies in these countries? So to consider these questions, this afternoon we've assembled a truly distinguished interdisciplinary group of international scholars, and I will at this stage briefly introduce each of them to save time when they are getting ready to speak. Our first speaker will be Dr. Ramachandra Guha, who is currently serving as the Ingalls Distinguished Lecturer at the Harvard-Yenching Institute. He probably needs very little introduction to most of you. He, after an academic career of teaching across the globe, from Oslo to Stanford, Yale, and the Indian Institute of Science, now he is a full-time writer based in Bangalore. His many prize-winning books, which have been translated into more than 20 languages, cover a stunning range of topics, from the social history of Indian cricket to a biography of an anthropologist activist, to a global history of environmentalism. His PhD is in sociology, I believe, from the Indian Institute of Management in Calcutta. Our next panelist is Prasenjit Dwara, who is currently the Raffles Professor of Humanities and Director of the Asia Research Institute, and also Director of Humanities and Social Science Research at the National University of Singapore. Prasenjit received his PhD degree from this university in history and East Asian languages, and for nearly 20 years before he moved to Singapore, he taught at the University of Chicago, where he was chair of China Studies and also chair of the history department. He's the author of many path-breaking books in the China field on subjects ranging from culture and village governance to the roles of nationalism, imperialism, and transnational religion. Next to him is Professor Wang Shaoguang from Hong Kong. He is the professor and chairperson in the Department of Government and Public Administration at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, where he also directs the university's Service Center for Chinese Studies. His PhD is in political science from Cornell University, and he taught for about a decade at Yale University before he moved to Hong Kong. In addition to his duties at CUHK, he holds an appointment as Changjiang Professor at Tsinghua University in Beijing. And he has written numerous books on Chinese politics, focusing on such disparate topics as the Cultural Revolution, democratization, the political economy of development. And there on the end is our colleague, Hui Tam He Tai. She is the Kenneth Young Professor of Sino-Vietnamese History here at Harvard, and she holds both a master's and a doctorate degree from this university. For many years, she served as director of Harvard's Regional Studies on East Asia master's degree program. And she is the author of a number of important and influential books in Vietnamese history. Books that bear directly on today's topic, from her early studies of rebellion and revolutionary radicalism to her more recent work on the making of public memory. Her latest book, published last year, is entitled Passion, Betrayal, and Revolution in Colonial Saigon. So my thanks to these panelists for coming, some of them from very far away, and my thanks to all of you for joining us. Let us begin by welcoming Ramachandra Guha.